Morning guys and welcome back to the channel. I've had a couple of Gekkota Sea Hunters turn up. I've never handled, reviewed or even seen a Gekkota watch. I was on the Watch Gecko website recently and I noticed they'd reduced the price of these watches from £499 down to £199. That is a huge discount, although they are labelling these watches now as nearly new. I was curious to see what that actually meant, so I thought it was worth picking up a couple of these watches for £398 to show you guys to see whether or not I should be recommending you head over to their website, because it looks like they're selling a lot of nearly new watches fairly well discounted. So yeah, let's crack on and take a look. Right, let's get into it. I've cut the tape, so all we need to do now is lift up the lid and we are presented with a cloth and keyring tab of some description. I wonder if there's any packaging. Yeah, they look to be coming in what is probably, God, they're quite heavy. Wow. That's probably how they normally get sent out. Yeah, it's looking good so far. Anything else? Nope. Right, I've checked over both of these watches with a fine tooth comb and I've put them on the time grapher, and I've got really good news. They're basically brand new. There is nothing wrong with them that I can see anyway. No marks, no scratches, and on the time grapher they're running fantastically well. This one in particular, +3 seconds a day, perfect beat, error and amplitude. This one's running well. But yeah, this one is incredible. Yeah, I just can't see anything wrong with them at all. They look like, well, basically new unused watches. I wonder if they are labeling them as nearly new or lightly used or whatever it is that they're saying, to basically help protect them if they send some of these watches out at heavily discounted prices and they just don't want to deal with returns, you know, watches that turn up with the odd scuff or scratch, which can happen. Yeah, I suspect they're thinking, well, we're selling these watches so cheaply, we just want to get rid of them and we don't want people to be expecting them to be brand new. Don't quote me on that. Don't hold me to that, because they may well send out some of these watches with light scuffs and scratches on them. And they do detail on their website that they check these watches over and, you know, they're happy that they're in really good working order. But yeah, I suspect they're just covering themselves. So I think I can recommend you guys head over to their website and take a look. I think it's definitely worth it. I mean, these two watches, £199 each, and running the way they are. And the specifications are fantastic. And I think they look really good as well. I do prefer the white dial version, but yeah, these fading sort of sunburst effect dials look really nice. But yeah, I just love white dials at the moment. I don't know what it is about white dials. And actually, the circle at the end of the hour hand, I reviewed another watch recently that had a circle. I think it was the Spinnaker. It had a circle at the end of a sort of fairly rectangular, simple baton style hand, and it didn't look right at all. But actually, these hands look really good. I'm not so sure I'd want to pay £500 for these, but £199 is just phenomenal. If you order one and it turns up in this sort of condition, you will be delighted with it. Right, let me run through some of the specs and I'll do a Lume test as well in a minute. Now, there are plenty of polished surfaces on these watches, hence I keep wiping them down. But yeah, they are 316L stainless steel throughout, screw down case back, screw down crown, 200 meters of water resistance, and one downside is fully polished case back. I have checked the case backs and they were perfect. I suspect you know, these will have some micro scratches on them by the end of me just producing this video, because case backs like this, they scratch up so easily. But yeah, 200 meters of water resistance. It says it on the dial. Look, that's pretty cool. Sapphire crystal with AR coating, flat sapphire crystal that sits a little bit proud of the bezel, and the finishing, the steel finishing, looks incredible. High polished chamfered edge running down the length of the case, signed crown, signed case back, signed clasp. The bracelets are very nice. H-links brushed with polished rectangular center sections, solid end links, solid links, screw pins, double-ended quick release spring bars for rapid strap changes. There you go, look at that. Really quick, and cool, that worked well, didn't it? I didn't practice that, believe it or not. And yeah, solid end links, solid links, screw pins, I think I've said all that already. Milled clasp. The outer shell is a little bit thin. but it actually makes for a really thin, discreet clasp, and you get decent continuation of the bracelet because the outer shell's not really, really long. Signed, brushed with polished chamfered edges, a couple of micro adjusts. I think an extra one would be good, but I've actually managed to get this one to fit. I've not resized the blue one. I'm not going to bother. Yeah, I'll show you a wrist shot of this one in a moment. Right, I've zoomed in so we can have a closer look at the dial, the hands, the applied indices, the print, and yeah, that bezel as well, and the steel finishing. The steel finishing does look good. The brushing is nice, although there is a little bit of streaking on that bezel. Look at the left-hand side. You see that light reflecting. You can see those sort of streaks. So I wouldn't say the polishing is amazing. It looks good, and yeah, the transitions between the polishing and the brushing seem fairly crisp. It's certainly not the best I've ever seen. The brushing, I have to say, is very, very nice. But yeah, the polishing is just a little bit streaky. Let's check it out on the bracelet. And there's the polishing on the bracelet. It actually looks, well, probably a touch cleaner than the polishing on the outside of the bezel. But it's not bad polishing on the outside of the bezel. It's just a touch streaky, that's all. The hands actually look to have a slightly different finish to the applied indices, a slightly darker, almost duskier look to them. I do like the shapes. In fact, I like the shape of the applied indices. Those circular ones, though, very small, aren't they? I think they could have done with being just a touch bigger, but yeah, you've got some extended battens at the 12, 3, 6 and 9. The print looks nice enough. Yeah, very clean and tidy. And of course, you've got the movement there beating 28,800 beats per hour. So 8 ticks for every second. And here it is then on my roughly average sized wrist. I've managed to get a pretty comfortable fit despite there only being 2 micro adjustment holes. Yeah, good weight distribution all the way around. Not too much weight in this watch. Good size, good proportions. Yeah, I like it. It's a really good looking watch. Love this white dial version, and yeah, it doesn't sit too high on my wrist. The Miyota 9039 is actually a very slim movement, so yeah, I'll put the dimensions and the weight at the bottom there, but yeah, it doesn't sit too high at all. Very, very nice. Right, I'm going to do the usual test, let the Lume degrade for 5 minutes, and we'll see how good it is after the 5 minutes are up. Right, the 5 minutes are up, and I think the blue BGW9 has lasted pretty well. It's not amazing, it's not terrible. I'd say it's roughly average. Well, there you go. I think I made a good call getting these 2 watches in to see what sort of condition they are in, because I suspect that nearly new label that Watch Gecko have been putting on these watches has deterred a few people from picking these up. And you still should be a little bit wary because, like I've said already, they could well turn up with the odd scuff and scratch. But I've heard from other people as well that they've ordered these nearly new watches from Watch Gecko and they've turned up, well, basically brand new, mint condition, nothing wrong with them at all. So I suspect it's a little bit of a risk, but yeah, for this sort of money, £199 each for these 2 9039 powered automatic sports watches with 200 meters of water resistance, sapphire crystal, 316L stainless steel, and lots of other goodies. Yeah, it's a good price, isn't it? Well worth a punt. Absolutely 100%. Guys, let me know what you think of these watches in the comments section. Will you be heading over to Watch Gecko right now? I suspect you've already gone. All right, see you guys.